And here I was thinking that this franchise had no momentum and no excitement left for it at all. Hey, what's going on, everybody? You already know who it is. It's your favorite internet sweaty, your boy Mikey Savage 21, bringing you another sweaty discussion. And today's sweaty discussion, we're going to be talking about the new Resident Evil series that Netflix is currently developing. All right, what's going on, everybody? Again, we're going to be talking about the new developing story that just came out, that Netflix is developing a Resident Evil TV series, and that this would go and expand the Resident Evil universe and deepen the existing mythology, and that the series will also serve as a setup for the movie franchise, whether that is the movie franchise that we've already gotten or a reboot of the film franchise. Which, again, it's interesting to note that Constantine Film just hired Johannes Roberts, the guy who did the Strangers Prey at Night movie, to direct a future film reboot of the Resident Evil franchise. And I did a video, I think about 3 years ago, talking about if they did a reboot of the Resident Evil franchise, would they base it on Resident Evil 7? I'll make sure I leave that annotated above as well as in the comment section below. But again, my love for Resident Evil stemmed mostly from the video games. I played the video games growing up, not so much the movies. I haven't really loved the movies. I love the action part of them, but as far as story-wise goes and falling in love with the characters, not so much. I was just kind of like, well, I'm more about the horror aspect as opposed to the action aspect. I like a little bit of action here and there, but I don't know. I just couldn't really get on board with the film franchise. And the only one that I have reviewed on this channel is I did a review for the last Resident Evil film, and I did not enjoy that one at all. I was just like, oh, okay, let's do this. Let's go ahead and end this franchise. Let's cap it off. Again, that's nothing against Paul W.S. Anderson. That's nothing against Mila Jovovich. I love both of them respectively. I respect the admiration and passion that they had for the Resident Evil series and how they just kept it going for as long as they did. And again, at the end of the day, whether I like the movies or not, they did help keep the franchise afloat and keep it relevant, I should say. So hearing that Netflix is developing a Resident Evil television series is kind of interesting, because I imagine this being like The Office, taking out the comedy aspect of it, The Office meets Resident Evil, basically meaning you have a corporation, in this terms a small little corporation, and you could brand it into like a small group of people. Like with The Office, it focuses in that particular office within a bigger, larger office. You focus in on just a small handful of characters and whatnot. Maybe give us about 8 episodes, maybe about 10 episodes. You don't want to stretch it out too long, but just show us what was the mindset behind creating the T-Virus, how it ultimately became this MacGuffin of bringing people back from the dead, and of course how it ultimately got released, and how the effects of the T-Virus have played into the effects of the world as well. Because again, they say that this is supposed to lead into the movie franchise. It's supposed to be a setup for it. Well, one thing they don't talk about, is it setting up the current movie franchise that we've already gotten, or would it be setting up the Johannes Roberts, possibly still directed reboot of the Resident Evil franchise? I don't know. It's interesting to say the least. If they were to do that, I would love for this to take place and kind of ignore all of what the movies have done and kind of do its own thing, and then let it lead up into the events of Resident Evil Biohazard. I would let it lead up to Biohazard, basically, setting up the T-Virus and the effects of it and everything. Everything could still play out like it does in terms of the film. You know, you could take liberties here and there, but I want the television series to ultimately focus on the T-Virus. I want it to focus on the human characters, and I want it to focus on the overlords over at Umbrella Corporation, and why they ultimately decide to make this thing in the first place. And I know at the beginning of this video I said I picture The Office, but I also in a way kind of picture another movie franchise in my head, or I shouldn't say franchise, another movie in my head, Battle Royale, where you have a corporation who is sitting here testing their employees with the sinister purpose of trying to create this drug. So let's say you get a group of scientists or a group of powerful people. They get in control of some scientists, and they decide to say, hey, someone died. Maybe like you say one of the head guys says his daughter died or something, and he comes up with a proposal of let's find a drug that is able to bring people back from the dead. So then, of course, other people start kicking that around because a lot of people have fear about dying. Then you could spin that off into saying, okay, they went and found scientists and ultimately created the Umbrella Corporation as we see it today. Then that'll lead up to however the virus gets out, and then maybe let's say that they test a small batch or sample of it on the office workers in there, and we slowly see the effects of it and what it does. And then from there, whoever survives, you could take them, experiment on them, get more and more in detail about, okay, how do we perfect this drug? How do we make it so that they don't go on a ravenous murderous spree? Boom, there's your setup right there for the television series, or at least what I would like to see in the television series. Again, you all might have your own different opinion about what you want to see from this series, but either way, with the remake release of Resident Evil 2 and how it is like destroying numbers, and then with this headline coming out about Netflix developing a television series, I think it's safe to say that the Resident Evil franchise is here to stay and that it's not going anywhere anytime soon, which, hey, they're one of the OG originators of this whole zombie thing. Before there was Z Nation, before there was Walking Dead, there was Resident Evil, and they were making hay waves in this whole zombie movement way before those shows were even in development. So again, I'm excited about this. I'm excited to see what Netflix can do with this series, and I'm excited again for Constantine Films, and again specifically Johannes Roberts, because I did love what he did on The Strangers Prey at Night. I might not have agreed with the characterization of the big three, but again aside, I still think he did a fantastic job in the movie. And if they were to get him as the one to be the show creator over this series, that would be very interesting, and I think he would take it in a very artistic direction, which I wouldn't mind seeing that in terms of a Resident Evil television series. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for the television series on Netflix? Do you think Netflix is a good choice for Resident Evil? Would you have liked to have seen it go to some other streaming service? Let me know down in the comment section below what you think about all of this. Again, guys, make sure you like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you'll never miss out on a sweaty discussion. And as I always say, I hope you all have a blessed day. Make sure you stay sweaty and be good to each other. And peace out, y'all.